What is up, disc golfers? Today on Iceberg TV, we're going to have our first look at the first run new Italian blend C-Line FD from Discmania. The first thing that I'm noticing about this disc, it feels pretty typical to C-Line. It's pretty hot here today, so it's a little bit more malleable and grippier than it probably would be under other conditions, but it's super hot and humid today here in Florida. This thing's got like super mega dome compared to some of my old FDs that I had. I've thrown the Night Strikes, I've thrown S-Line FDs, and none of them were like super dome like this one. So the first hole here is a little bit shorter shot. We're gonna try it. I haven't thrown this at all, it just came out of the bag. We just have a short 210-foot hole here. We're just gonna throw a little chip forehand with it to see if it can be flicked at all. It actually kind of popped up a little bit, carried straight all the way, and had a really good bit of fade at the end. I'm actually shocked it didn't turn over from the torque of a forehand throw. We're gonna go and just play a few more holes on the course so you guys can get a good idea of how the new FD flies. All right, so the next hole here, we're gonna try and throw it over the out of bounds area, over the fence, and have it crash in at the end. It's probably just around 300 feet. I'm gonna have to throw it nice and hard on hyzer, see if it flips up and carries the distance, and then hopefully that same stability from hole one kicks in and it fades left at the end. Really don't want to turn it over into the out of bounds area. Not a bad spot. It actually is a lot more stable than I thought it would be. It's really, I was kind of thinking it would flip up and turn a little bit or carry more forward before it fades, but put it out on hyzer. It's actually gonna stay on that hyzer. Granted, I threw it pretty high because I was a little afraid to turn it over. It's definitely got some serious stability for an FD. For this shot here, we have the basket just about 260 feet away. We're gonna power down a little bit. I'm gonna throw it a little more flat and see if I can't get it to just go forward and then have it lose speed and fade at the end. So we're gonna trust it a little bit, throw a little more flat and a little bit softer, and see if we can't park it underneath that basket here on the left. Really controllable disc. It's nice and shallow and easy to hold on to, and it feels comfortable whether you're powering down or powering up. My biggest concern with throwing Discmania discs, especially in Florida, is this right here. There's usually water everywhere. So when you can only get one, it's pretty scary to throw holes like this or throw out courses like this in general. All right, team, this is where the video gets a little bit sketchier. It's about a 400-foot hole, but the initial gap is all water. And we are going to trust this hard and flat slash a little bit of anhyzer to make sure we go over to the right. But I'm gonna power up on it to try and make sure that we go to the right on the backhand here. This hole is right around that, I think the sign says 399 and it's almost pin high, so it holds true to that nice 6 glide. That's one of the reasons people like the FD, is because you get that easy distance out of it. Threw it nice and hard and flat, and it went straight for a bit, but still faded at the end. Really enjoying the flight. Nice trustworthy stability. If you throw with a lot more torque or off-axis torque, so energy that's not moving in the same direction the disc is moving, so people with not as good form might find this disc to get a little bit more turn. But if you throw nice and smooth, that disc is gonna hold the line and have a little bit of stability for sure. All right, we got the basket right behind this tree right there. It's another shorty. We're just gonna ace one for you guys on camera here. C-Line FD, Italian, forehand ace. All right, that's okay. We weren't able to ace, not a big deal. This last hole, the goal is simply to not lose the disc. We have a slight headwind coming in. kind of flippy disc that we're seeing. You know, sometimes it decides to be flippy, especially on those forehands. So we're gonna throw a backhand. There's water on the right, and I'm gonna give this a good pump, but on a slight hyzer. I'm gonna try and get a little bit of turn out of it. Far hole, about 400 feet. Probably can't get there with the FD, but it's gonna be a real opportunity to just let one loose on it. Great flight. I really love that for the backhand. Slight hyzer really carries that nice, you know, straight penetrating shot. Not a lot of flexing going on. It just holds mostly straight in the flight. That's part of the reason it goes so far, is because the fastest route to the target is a straight line. So if you can throw it in a straight line, it doesn't necessarily have to travel as far because it's not moving directions, not towards the target, it's just going right at it. So that FD is a really nice straight shooter, especially if you're throwing with a good bit of power. A little bit of headwind there too, and it probably carried about 375. I'm a little bit short of the basket, but I'm really loving the flight, especially for those backhand lines. All right guys, time to give you my final thoughts on the C-Line FD from Discmania. The plastic is definitely, in my opinion, I don't know if it's the same exact blend, but it feels a little bit grippier than the C-Line MD3s that I originally got. Again, it could be just because it's really warm and humid, but it feels nice and grippy, a little bit more grippy definitely than the C-Line MD3s. So I'm not sure if they've changed the blend, but this feels really nice, and this is a disc that I would love to bag. And the only thing that would stop me from bagging it, because it flies great, is my inability to get another first run. And I'm not sure if they're all this domey, but I'm definitely willing to check out more of the new C-Line FDs from Discmania. And if they are nice and domey like this and fly like this one, if they're easy, you know, if I can just pay retail for them, not buy them from resellers, if they actually produce enough of them, then this is a mold that would 100% make my bag for those backhand lines. Overall, great feeling disc, great flyer, goes nice and far. I was actually throwing it about 375, 380 on those bigger throws. So those are two holes right around 400 feet, and this goes just almost as far as my drivers. And that's been my experience with FDs in the past, is that FDs have that 6 glide and they mean it. They go far, they fly straight, and they're really controllable. And a disc like this can be a staple in anyone's bag, including yours. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Would you throw your first run C-Line FD from Discmania? And I want to give one last shout out to my shoe sponsor, Lems, for sponsoring content here on Iceberg TV. You can check out their sneakers in the link in the description below. In today's video, I was wearing the Lems Trailhead in the Moonlit Moss colorway. I love the greens, the grays, the blacks, the blues. The tread is really, really nice on these things. And they're also very close to being a zero drop shoe, which is ultimately going to help you have the best performance from the ground up, as well as the wide toe box, so your toes have room to spread inside the shoe when you're putting weight on your foot. Unlike a lot of other conventional hiking and running shoes have a narrow toe box, causing your toes to be smashed together. It's not so good for your feet, and it's not so good for your body long term. So yeah, big shout out to Lems for taking care of my feet, which ultimately takes care of the rest of my body, so I can play and feel my best. You're watching Iceberg TV, and take care.